I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in signs to let them in, chalk up their body, another one body, that's just how it go. I got some secrets, I'm shaking the game so they stay on their toes. Stay in your lane, I to stay on the go. I can play with the pros and act like a rookie, so they overlook me. Then I double up again, none of their knows, none of them cold. They just got lucky but never adapted, so I'm to the one if it's coming to blows. My enemies cutting it close, I let them think that they got me, but
Hello, how are ya?
Good.
Welcome. I see you got your little good background there. I like that one. Yo,
Thank you.
welcome everyone to Start Up on the Blocks. Sabina is filling in for Takesha tonight, so she couldn't. Sorry to say, she had her neighbor passed away, so she wasn't able to be here with us. But Sabina, being a good sport, she's come home and talk about her business. That's
All
fantastic.
right.
Yes, and so first, so am I pronouncing your first name correctly?
Absolutely. Sabina.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Zunguze.
Singuse. Okay, all
Yes,
righty.
that's right.
So introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll tell the people a little bit about Startup on the Blocks and kind of get that going here.
Sure. Yes, so my name is Sabina Zunguze. I have a company called A Gift to Africa, where I work with women in Africa to produce the ingredients that I use, products that I make here. So the ingredients include superfruits. So one of it is like a baobab fruit from a huge big tree which lives for 1,000 years. So with that fruit, we have a powder that I use in many of the stuff that I use. So I do like a beverage. I've got a lemonade that's very popular, and I also have seasonings, and I sell the fruit powder by itself. And I also have a couple other products that I do. So
Okay.
I manufacture here in Destin. I'm in Destin. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit more here and get the ball rolling on that. So first, I want to go ahead and make sure people know what the Startup on the Blocks is all about, just in case we have any new people in the audience or out on Facebook or out in Zoom land. Yes, so we're excited uh, to to be doing our Startup on the Blocks program. We do it. We do our weekly events on Thursday from 6 to 8, and with the sponsorship from our different companies like Florida Power and Light, and you see the ones I have on here. So they make it possible for us to bring founders in. They do pitch competitions, and I guess we're. I guess you had applied for our last pitch competition, right?
No, I didn't end up applying.
Well, you had started, I remember, but you know,
Hmm.
and you had the deaf in the family, so you didn't
Right.
actually
Yeah.
complete. I remember you were working on your application.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and yeah, we definitely feel feel bad, you know, that you lost a family member, and we'll talk about that a little bit if you're up to it.
Hmm.
But it was a crazy time. We actually lost a gentleman that actually was applying for the pitch competition at the same time, so he wasn't able to participate. He was trying to save his son in the water, and he ended up not making it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a pretty sad time between your loss and his loss, but we're trying to get past all these losses. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate our founders that make it happen. And I saw Pat logged on tonight with Colab. He in our last pitch competition, he sponsored some consulting hours, and that was well appreciated.
Mm.
Yes, and so Dee Dee, like I said, she wasn't able to make it tonight, so we sure appreciate you filling in, Zavina. and so that's really wonderful. But next week we have a duo coming in out of Silicon Valley, and they've created a training program for entrepreneurs and a new application process. So we're looking forward to hearing what they have to offer, and so we will definitely make their training available to our founders as well. Yeah. Um, so yeah. So the I like to show this slide because it talks about the journey of a founder, and so do you remember when you had the idea to start your business?
When I had the idea,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so my idea came about in the sense that, people in the United States are looking for, people were starting to eat better. This was even before COVID. And I knew of all these healthy ingredients, foods that have been eaten for 1,000 years in Africa. And I thought, there's a disconnect there. There are people who got all this wonderful stuff, and there are people here who would have a demand for it and they don't know what it is. But little did I know that there's a lot of education that also goes with all of that, because when you're introducing something that people have never heard of, they kind of want to learn more about it before they actually buy it. So
Yes. Yes.
that's where I was.
Yeah, yeah. So it's one thing to have an idea for a business, and then also having to work out that business model, and
Right.
finding out all those things that are going to get in the way of you making money with your business. And so, like with this, with the lean stack training, lean startup training, that first part of the training where you get the kind of like do the foundations training to get the mindset, and then the key piece of that is getting a business model for your product or service that you're going to sell. How you're going to make money, and so I guess there in it's kind of a I don't know if I don't know if we were taught to kind of come up with a business model. Does that even ring a bell? It makes sense. What is a business model to you?
Yeah. Yes. So yeah. So we kind of had talked about all of that because, I mean, as I go into selling the product itself, it was, how do I keep it, you know, what is, how am I getting it to the consumer?
Hmm.
That kind of stuff. I think we had talked about that.
Yes.
And sorry, go ahead. And so I have different conduits of getting it to the consumer, but getting it to the consumer was almost like, I can have all these platforms that I would say I'm doing it online, I'm doing it in
Hmm.
person, and all of that, but I, I didn't know how all of that was gelling together. How
Yes.
what that all meant to get to that point. So I
Got
was trying to determine in my mind, because when as a business owner, we have ideas and we just want to do it because that's what we do, right? So
Yeah.
you're like, I'm gonna sell it online, and that's what I'm gonna do. So and then I'm gonna have all these ads and people come and buy it and all that stuff. I mean, there's more that goes into it,
Hmm.
and I learned that after the fact, and you keep learning.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So did you think about how you would attract customers to your website, or were you just trying to sell it in person?
Yeah, so the way I was thinking of doing it, because of wanting to have as much education up front, because if, for example, if I say to you, I sell a purple tea, it
Yeah.
is so purple. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's like, oh, it's a purple tea. I love tea. So I'm gonna. So I have to I have to get people to know what that purple tea is. So I have
Yeah.
this whole pitch that I give to people when I'm in person. And my whole motto was that if I give it in person, I would have those same people go online when they want more, because I'm in an area where it's very touristy. So, and it works out that way anyway, because we have a lot of people who come here, they see it, I explain it. When I explain it, because I've got passion for it, they love
Yeah.
it, they go, they taste it, and then when they want more, they go online. So they are my online kind of customers. And when they go home, they're telling everybody wherever they're coming from.
Okay. So like some referral stuff in there. So like so when you're doing like when you're doing it in person, you're kind of limited to the times you can get out and see people. But
Absolutely.
so have you ever thought about the idea of creating some videos that are explaining the product and putting those online and try to figure out how to drive people to those videos to learn about your product?
Yes, I have. I should say that I haven't done it enough, as
Okay.
much as I should. I should. I have done that, and I've done some other creative stuff, like how you have flows. Like when somebody buys, then I keep telling them what it is, because people kind of forget.
Okay.
And I also, whenever I sell any of my products, they all go with a story. I
Okay.
always have the story in it. It's a story, and then its benefits and uses and all of that. I do it more on on a mass level, so that people keep knowing what it is, and people come back and tell me, says, "Oh yeah, I still got that little piece of paper you gave me. I was reading it, and how I would use it and all that stuff."
Hmm.
Um, but I would say yes. So my problem is scaling. Um,
Yes.
and because I haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
How do I
Gotcha. Yeah.
duplicate my phone?
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's the purpose of this business model design, is to actually figure out how to design a scalable business model, and so that's part of the training is all about.
Right, right.
Yes, yes, and
So
so.
other ways have been, I do subscriptions, so that
Mhm.
it's an automatic charge. So people will
Okay.
always come. They want a tea. They want some kind of seasoning. Of course, it's not gonna last that long. So I'll do, like, after a month, it will just go in charge, and then I
Mhm.
kind of give them a discount to do that. So it encourages them to do that kind of thing. I
Mhm.
also do, like online with the newsletters and all of that stuff. I've thought about doing an app as opposed to having a website, but I haven't. Um, no one has convinced me yet whether that's a good idea.
Well, the bottom line is that you want to keep, because it sounds like to me your product does sell, and based on your approach. And so then the question is, how do you introduce more people to that approach, and
Yes,
creating that funnel to get people to become aware of your product,
yes.
and yeah. And so when your customers refer your product, but do you also get video testimonial from your customer? I don't know if that's a good idea or bad idea. I'm just asking the question.
Yes. I
Yeah.
I have people who they'll write comments every time you come to my website. I mean, it'll tell you when you land on one of the products, it'll tell you who else has bought it, or it will say whoever said something about it. So I have
Hmm.
testimonials. I don't have them in video.
Okay.
I In person, I do try and get, like, for example, I do have this lemonade that has just taken off by itself.
Hmm.
So when people taste it, they will say, "Oh my God, this is the best lemonade I've ever tasted." So I will say, "Can you say that on video?" So I've got
Yeah.
so many people who say that, they would taste it and they would love it, then they want to say it. And so I have testimonials from the events,
Oh,
but
good.
I haven't done it online. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you know, and still, definitely you got to come up with that scalable business model. But the good news is that your because I think in the training, Ash talks about is your product or service feasible, and yes, your product or service
Mm-hmm.
is feasible, and then do people like it? And from based on what you're saying, people do like it. And then
Yes.
the third thing that you need is a viable business model and
Yes.
in order to make it work. And so, as a founder, you need to learn how to design a business model and that actually is scalable. And but the good news is when you're since you know your product sells, um, and there's interest in it, and so you got a lot of the key ingredients. So what's left is getting that good business model, and so that's the first part of the founder's journey here, and the reason why I put this slide up, and then once you get that business model designed, then you can actually pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And what's the benefit of that is there's all these. Let me see if I can find the chart. There's all these programs that are out there that will help you, refine your business model. Will help you do all the things you need to do, and also even funding to actually to move forward. And see, like when you were applying for the pitch competition, it's just a matter of pitching what you need to do in order to be successful, and then getting the financial help and the mentoring help, to actually do it. And so with Startup on the Blocks, what we're in essence what we're trying to do is get you the training on how to design that business model, and then and teach you how to pitch it clearly and concisely. Then that way you can get into more programs. You can find a co-founder or somebody to build your funnel or your web application that actually gets people into the funnel, and help you reach your goal on what you're trying to do. And so that's what we're all about, and we get some funding to help people do that, and we don't charge our founders anything for that. And the reason, there's a lot of reason why we do it, and part of it is that we know a lot of black business or minority business are underfunded. That in like our own region between here and Panama City, Pensacola, Panama City, the Small Business Development Center, they did their DEI study, and they showed that minority businesses are funded at the 10% of what the white businesses, male businesses are
Right.
funded. And so how are you going to,
Yeah.
hire the people you need to do what you need to do? So by learning all this stuff about being a founder and designing that business model correctly, you can get the help, because there are all these programs on the right here that actually help you move forward. And so, but in order to get in these programs, you have to back up and get that mindset correctly, that there is help out there, is, and that the being a founder is a journey, and so you can kind of move forward. But so there's a lot of skills and best practices that you need to learn, that 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 will actually get you access to the things in the ecosystem. And one of the reasons I wanted invited Takesha to come back tonight just to kind of give an update is because she's actually participated in a lot of these ecosystem programs. She's also, and I think the uh, yeah, at least three, four, five that I've heard her actually say, and including the Google for Black Founders. With I think at the time she was in it, they were given like to each founder either $50,000 or $100,000, and lately they've just been giving out the $100,000, and so So could, in your case, could you use $100,000 to help you grow your business?
Absolutely. I would use it in a bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but it is challenging for founders, I I definitely get that. But so just from your standpoint, how do you feel about this ability to design a scalable business model um, that you can feel confident about? It is possible, but how do you what do you think about that?
I feel like I could do it right now. I could start right now. Because my issue has never been, it's not my product as such, is how do I move. I feel like I've hit a ceiling to where I am and what I'm able to do right now. I have no clear strategy, to move
Mhm.
forward. Um, one of the things, of course, is that I have help here and there, but if like I sell out on things and I'm always on my feet, I'm always working, always doing things, but I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do that beyond just having the funds to have it done in a more
Yeah,
in a bigger uh, place. I could have co-packers, do it so that I concentrate on the business itself. But I'm not at that point because I don't have the funds to do that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think having that whole mindset of, where am I going? What's the model? And having the help, the assistance to move to that level, I think would be very beneficial.
Yeah, and we're gonna get Amira Bella back on because we had her on to kind of tell her story, and she was at a kind of a earlier stage than you are, but she had, she had an idea, and she didn't know if it was patentable or not, so she actually, took it to a patent organization, some attorneys, and they said it was
Yeah.
patentable, and they said if you pay the fee, we'll get it, we'll write up the patent and submit it for you. And then she got that done, and then then she got another like 10 grand from another program to help her come up with a business idea for her patent. You see what I'm saying? So the point is there are programs out there, but you just have to, you know, just get involved in the startup ecosystem and just learn what the opportunities are. So what you're doing is in a food tech area. So then you will look at what programs are out there for people who are in the food technology area or the health area, and also folks in the audience, if you've got any ideas or suggestions for Sabina, please feel free to share them in the chat, or if you have any questions about your startup or a startup on the box or anything in general, feel free to ask them. That's what we're here for, to support you in the journey. And so like let's see, I'm gonna so go. So the main thing to just revamp here, if you get the right mindset and realize that there are organizations out there that will help you at no charge to grow your company. That's a hard pill for people to swallow. That they said there's an organization that will help you at no charge. But they want you to have the right mindset, and they want you to have learned some about these best practices, and to in doing a startup. And so yeah, it's definitely, that's why I tell people it's a journey. It's not, you don't have to know all these things here, but you just have to realize it is a journey and just make your way throughout the journey is kind of what the idea is. Yeah, and there's no shortage of resources to kind of get you there. But to be honest with you, the if you do get this first part of this journey correct and get this
Mhm.
business model design right, um, you can actually, like I say, create profiles on this site, but this site lists, thousands of opportunities for founders to apply for, to get help. But it also, once you build your business profile and your personal profile on there, it also, you start getting inquiries that people, these organizations want you to fill out an application to get in their program. And so they start looking for you because there's just so many programs out there that they do literally recruit founders to participate in the programs. Yeah. So
I want to talk to them people.
yeah, yeah. And so, but yeah, so that's part of that mindset um, that you have to have. So
So these programs you have listed on there, are they generally just to any sector? Is it? I mean,
well, I'm glad you asked that question. Let me see if I got the newsletter up here. I thought I pulled it up, but let me see if I could find it. Let's see. I think I got it up over here. So in the newsletter that we send out each Thursday, and we'll get to your question, Sheila, in a minute. Yeah. So we're going to improve this the way we do this because it's not the best way to do it. So um, so so here we got just a smorgasbord list of opportunities for all founders. Then we got some for veterans and for founders of color, women founders, um, nonprofits, and we also got talk about some workforce programs. But the deal is, um, when you the way the ecosystem, and I think I should show you something else here too. I'll bring it up. But what we plan to do with this list here is go ahead and create a database. But then so like this, Hello Alice, they have an actual database of grants that you can actually go to their site and take register on their so they even have the loan marketplace. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, because if you build a scalable business model, you don't have to go to the loan process. So startups typically do equity based things, but to be honest, if you can, if you may be able to grow your business just off your customers if you actually design your business model correct. Typically, you only will need the major funding if you need that funding to really scale out. So once you know if by doing this amount of advertising you get this many customers, and so you got your business funnel going really good, and it's working and it's repeatable, then that's when, if you need to scale, the investors you can give us some equity, and the investors are coming there. So, if it costs you, customer acquisition cost is $20, and you can earn $200 over the lifetime of that customer, we'll pay you money to get $20 to keep getting these $200 customers. And so once you get those numbers down and understand what the deal is there, that's when if you want to scale out, you can. But what I try to do with a lot of these programs here is, some of them are like this. Most accelerator programs are equity based things. So like but there are also, since COVID, there are a lot of grant type things done with traditional business. But what we plan to do with this database is to create a whole list, and then based on, you can say I want to filter the stuff that's available for Black people, Black women. I want to filter it based on the people in the things in the food tech industry. So we will get that shortly, where you can actually make it a lot easier for you to do that. And so, like, for example, Sheila Beasley is in cleaning, have a program for the cleaning service. She's looking for a program for the cleaning service. So the state is getting ready to roll out this small business credit initiative. I wouldn't necessarily go that route, but just so if you want to go that route, if you don't have a scalable business, so so this is like $488 some million, but a significant portion of it, and I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was over 100 million for the whole state that's going to be for minority businesses.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
But
So
obviously, they're very competitive. I mean, I've applied
this,
to some of these ones
well,
here, but
the state hasn't had that kind of money before to put in this. You know, I can almost guarantee you they're going to have trouble finding. They giving away over $100 million to Black businesses in Florida. Not giving away, but based on credit. They're going to. It's going to be a challenge. But let me stop for a minute and talk about Sheila's. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Sheila. The cleaning service. So it's not just off the surface, not really knowing what that business is about. So it's a cleaning service. So what I would suggest is there are programs, traditional programs, and if you're not on our email list, look, let me see. I could post this thing in the chat here, and then this way you can actually, Sheila, if you're not on our email list, you can actually you just click this link and you should be able to see this particular newsletter and subscribe to the to future ones, but. The short answer would be yes, but startups are defined. Cleaning service sounds like a Main Street type business. It doesn't sound like what the ecosystem kind of identifies as a thing. Okay, so you said a commercial janitorial service. So with a commercial janitorial service, there are plenty of franchises that people are participating in there, and so for a startup thing, you're typically solving a problem, so that there's not that many solutions out there for it. So a traditional janitorial service would be like a Main Street business, and so a lot of these programs are for businesses that can actually scale, and the way a janitorial service scale is through franchising, and that's where a lot of people get into that. But what's significant about the janitorial service is that there may be right now. What are the problems with these franchises with the janitorial service? What are challenges that people who want to start a janitorial service have? And if you could come up with an idea or a solution to solve a problem that they have, and build a product or service to support people in the janitorial business, and of course everybody knows how that's a really big business. So that would be the startup idea, and at the minute you start working on that idea and the fact that and figuring out a way to scale, you become a startup founder. And then once you become a startup founder, then you're eligible for all these startup programs. I think that's the simplest way I can explain it. Does that make sense, Sheila? So did that make sense to you, Sabina?
Yes.
Yeah. So for example, in yeah. So that's good. I'm glad she got that. But so what I tell people, go ahead. If you're already in the janitorial business, go ahead and do that. Figure out what the problems in there, what are the pain points in there, and then come up with a solution for it. And then pitch go through the lean startup process to see if it's a solution that somebody wants and people would like it, and then that it's feasible and that you can create a viable business model for it. Yeah. So that's kind of the approach on that. So let's see what we Ebony is a new visitor tonight, so we're glad to have her here.
Mhm.
So yeah, so she's got a suggestion there for you, Sheila. So yeah, that's really fantastic. Okay, we appreciate the audience support, and like I said, if anybody want to chime in, have questions, we're glad to support. Yeah. So yeah.
So,
So go ahead.
Lloyd, some of the grants and loans that are listed on your list there,
Mhm.
I'm glad that you said you probably will also um, put them in categories like for Black founders, for women founders, because some of those are very competitive, and
Oh,
you never hear back from them. There are a couple of those that I've tried before, a
mhm.
couple times, and you don't even hear, and you try and try, and you feel like, what did I do
Yeah.
wrong? I mean, what was wrong with my application?
Well, see that's the guest that we're having on next week. That's what they're gonna be about.
Good.
So it's like when you're filling out the application, and you're not sure about how to answer the question. So their application thing is going to have a tutorial on how to answer the question.
Oh, nice. I like that. Because, I mean, some of those, like, if you go to like Hello Alice, I mean, some
Mhm.
of the questions have got like a 200 words. So you really have to crunch your words really, like you don't
Yeah.
have much. Yeah.
Well, see that's and I'll go back to this real quick. That's let me see, where is it? So that's the significance of this business model
Yes.
design training.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
literally teaching you how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely, and in the
Right.
shortest amount of words, so people actually get what you have. So when you start describing your idea, how you make money on those applications, if you don't include how you make money and the interest you already have in your product or service, it's just that you have to know how to say it. That's
Mhm.
what pitching is. So if you go in there and say, "Well, I import products from Africa and I sell them at the flea market or trade shows or whatever," that doesn't sound like a scalable business model, because that's what they're looking for.
Mm, mm.
You see what I'm saying? So, but
Yes.
Hello Alice is, I wouldn't say it's one for a startup. I would say it's for a traditional lifestyle business, a
Mm.
mainstream business. That's the kind of stuff. But they still, yeah. And I may be wrong on that, but that's kind of the because yeah, that, that's kind of what my general opinion on that is. But that's literally what the problem is not understanding what the best practices are and how to fill out
Mm.
the application. And that's why we have Startup on the Blocks, is because we want to make sure you're aware of the best practices. I can give you example after example. So like if right now you fill out an application for a startup program, and one of the questions on there is, what's your customer acquisition cost?
Oh.
And you see what I'm saying? Because if you don't know what you see what I'm saying.
Yes.
But the good news is there's programs for the different stages. So you have these we use pitch competition just to recruit you into, so we can teach you. So we don't expect
Hmm.
you to know anything. You see what I'm saying?
That's correct.
And, yeah, but then they have these idea and pre-accelerated programs. These programs right here have a lower threshold, to be able. You don't have to know how to answer what your customer acquisition cost is, because they're literally trying to train you how to build a startup.
That's right.
Yeah, and most of these programs are looking at your team as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's yeah, I but just so this is kind of what my message is to founders is, it doesn't matter if you just got an idea of where you are. It, the point is the minute you start working on that idea, and some of these programs know you're working on that idea, and they see you come from that idea stage to getting customers or whatever, then you have credibility.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But if nobody knows you out there working on an idea, you don't have any credibility.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so that's why we say the minute you start working on your idea for a scalable product or service, you need to go ahead and register on this F6SI so people can actually see your progress.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just went on that F6, the lady who was supposed to be here tonight. So I was looking forward to hearing how that went about. I mean, how do you get to that F6, whatever? And
No,
then
no,
what's the best?
F6S, that's just a site for founders. It's like a Facebook for
Right,
founders.
right. So I thought, I didn't, I hadn't gone to it, but I went to it because I was looking at her profile
Okay,
online,
okay.
and she was on that F6 S
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. And so, her story was, she was working at a university, and she was doing project management. So she created a product related to project management. But she ended up getting visibility. I met her down at the Collision conference, and then from that conference, she got a lot of publicity, and then she got admitted to another program, up in North Carolina, and she's still an alumni member of that program and still gets benefits from being in that program. But that was one of the feeder programs for Google for Black founders. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you start your journey when you're at the idea stage. You don't have a product, a service. You have an idea for a product or service. You design a business model for it, and you start working on it.
That's right.
Yeah, but the good news for people like you that already have a product or a service out there, now you're and people like it. Now what your job is to design a business model that can actually scale around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of what the answer is there. So yeah.
I
And so
always am, I feel excited, after talking to you, because you've got there are all these resources that are out there that we could be using and taking advantage of. And then there are so many of them, then you feel like, oh, can I even,
oh no. So you have to. So it's all strategic. So um, for what you're doing, I say you should have a Google alert for what I said. So I don't know. It could be food science. There could
Mhm,
be whatever the category is. You know,
mhm,
um, programs for food science, program for health technology.
mhm,
Just yeah. So you keep an eye on all the programs that are associated around those things, and it's the big
mhm.
companies that are in that industry that actually do them. And so, like, if you look on that list, this is so crazy. Uh, I was looking at, so I'm gonna do a find here on this page, Amazon. Let's see if I can spell. So they have so this is one program for Amazon. Okay, and here is another program for Amazon. And
Uh-oh.
yeah, and then here's another program for Amazon.
Uh-oh.
So all these big companies have programs. So this is kind of strange. So like I was in a meeting with Brian and Pat um, um, on, on Monday of this week, and so we found out that Florida Power and Light has set aside $30 million to support Black founders.
What?
Black businesses. Yeah, not necessarily founders, to black businesses. You see,
So,
but
yeah, that's
yeah,
incredible.
and so like but so what's good about that is so they will fund it, and so like Sheila, yeah, that's for any type of black business, but they also have a program for startup called 35 Muse, which is a strange name for a startup, and and so but the irony of that, you have to have an idea that scales. And so I talked to those folks that run 35 Muse, and so most accelerator programs you have to have you know customers and up and running. So you're just trying to learn how to scale. But I talked to the guy that runs that, and he said, well, we have brought founders in that just have an idea, to help them move along.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But you have to learn what the type of founders that the programs are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for example, let's see, this Visible Hand. I got this pitch down here, but they are actually a VC farm. Same thing. They work with founders. No matter what stage you are, and they have all this. They tailor your training based on where you are.
Hmm.
You, yeah, and so a lot of these programs, they have office hours, that you can actually attend and learn what they're looking for. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
like for example, we had Brandon on a month or so ago, and so he said earlier this year he attended our office hours for Techstars, and he started writing them and contacting them, but he attended an office hour, and that's how he learned about what it takes to get in the Techstars program. So now he's accepted in the Techstars program.
Nice.
You see what I'm saying? And get an investment.
Right.
So there is a method, to the madness, for all this stuff, and believe it or not, that's why I do that journey thing, is because you can actually, it doesn't really matter what stage you are. There are organizations out there to support you at the stage you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the first funding I got for my startup, I hadn't even formed the company yet. And once I got the funding, that's when I formed the company.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, yeah, and there are plenty of programs out there, and that's don't get confused. All these different programs, they all require different things. You just have to make sure you don't exclude yourself before you actually check into what the program is.
Yeah, and
So
I think that's part of our problem because most of the time I never used to go to any of this because I thought they were all tech related. Because people are always looking for all this technology, app development, whatever.
yeah.
But it's not always like that.
Well,
Yeah.
see, since COVID happened, there were and it's disrupted traditional black businesses and minority business, all businesses, and so a lot of programs came out to support black-owned businesses, especially after the George Floyd thing. People became more aware of what racism was and how it
Mhm.
actually, yeah, and so I'm trying to think the I guess the Minority Development Agency, they have a business center down in Orlando, and the lady that runs that, she did a Facebook post this week. She had just got another uh, contract, government contract, and she said she put in the post that only 1.5% of black businesses get government funding. Yeah, and so the so the deal is you that's why part of the reason why you see all these programs now, because when COVID happened and George Floyd happened, people literally saw how these minority and black businesses were disadvantaged, and and so I can tell you without even, guessing about it, that corporate America has put up over $50 million to support minority and Black businesses. And so if people say, well, where's the money? So let's say you take the 30 million that Florida Power and Light did, the way they're going to sponsor training. They're going to I'm trying to think of what's the other categories they're going to help with. I think some marketing stuff, but they even will sponsor pitch competitions. So pitch competitions, let's say Startup on the Blocks get 10,000 or 20,000 for pitch competitions from them. Then we'll host a pitch competition and invite you all to participate in it.
The problem is always, I don't know that they've solved the problem. The problem most of minority businesses don't get funding is because of all these qualifications that you have to have. I mean, for example, even with SBA loans, there's all this like credit, or you have to have this,
Well,
because we're always studying below, so it's hard to get to a point where you are fundable.
And so I'm glad you recognize that our procurement system is kind of put us at a disadvantage of the government procurement system. But the government, so that's a good example. So the government put up another $50 billion to support minority and Black businesses over the past couple of years. And so the question you have to ask yourself, how's this money being distributed? And so it's just, and each agency has funding for these minority businesses. And so, but you look at the way it's being distributed, it's none of it's going directly to the Black or minority business. It's going to programs to support the minority business. So even like these. There was one $10 billion program that came from, I can't remember whether it was one of the government agencies, and it had to I think it was similar to that loan program that the state is getting, but it was for provide credit to minority and Black owned businesses. And so, but they took that $10 billion, they set aside $500 million for what they call tech support for technical support for these businesses. So that's $500 million, and they said you can provide legal services, accounting services, HR service. So those big firms, they're getting the money cash, but you as a small business, you can't get the money cash. We have to give it to you in program. So contrast that with the startup way. The startup way is you start with an idea that's not based on credit. It's based on your team, your ability to make your idea come to life to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a big difference?
Yeah. No, that is.
Yeah. And so when part of the reason we started Startup on the Blocks is 2 years ago was that how do you get people trained, to take advantage of these startup programs? So we've started focusing on startup, but then with COVID, then all this other money started coming out to traditional Main Street businesses. So we said, well, why not make people aware of that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and nonprofits are like startups. So I'm working on an application for a program for our nonprofit that will give $25,000, but it has to be a tech-enabled nonprofit, and you have to have a way to get your service out to a lot of people.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So but believe it or not, if you learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely, you won't have any trouble recruiting a co-founder. And also now you got all these no-code platforms out there to support you in developing a minimal viable product. to kind of get you started. In your case, your pitching is going to be easy. But you have to do that business scalable design, that scalable business model, and you can do it, and we can actually help you do it because you already got customers that like your product. You just got to come up with the system to kind of get that product to as many customers as possible.
Mm-hmm. That's great. No, this has been very helpful. Very good. Mm-hmm.
So, are there any other questions out there in the audience? Yeah. This is the accelerator program I was talking about. This is actually the application is due end of this month. I got the wrong date on there.
September 30th.
Yeah. Yeah. So all of these sites here are just just things that are useful for businesses. This is that ecosystem canvas I was talking about, but so this is a thing just for Black founders, but we did a version of this that actually has our local stuff on it as well. I'll see can I pull that up and bring it, but so it's got the different stages, idea stage. I can't remember. Let's see how many things this is. This is like totally crazy. This thing's got so many organizations that support Black founders. It's crazy. And you got it broken out in different phases. Let me see. Can I get the Bantucola? Bantucola has the one on it that we've been working on, and I'll bring it up here and just gonna get it up here. Let's see, where is it? I'm looking. I know it's on here. I was just on the site the other day. For some reason, I don't see it.
So these are different companies that are listed?
These are different organizations that actually support Black founders. Oh, I found a link here. Yeah. So this is the one that we created for. So if you go to Bantucola and just scroll down, back to Bantucola here, and let's see. I had a little trouble finding it. So it says ecosystem map for Northwest Florida, and so I just clicked that. And let's see, can I blow it up a little bit? So so it's got all this kind of stuff on it. It's got the definitions for all the stuff, and see it's got the stuff idea, launch, growth, funding, support, and events. And so this one is available. So, and Chris has had this out here for quite a while now.
Oh, I've never seen it. I've been to that website.
Yeah. And so Dr. Griffin, Bree, myself, Chris, Brian Wire, and John Risby, we meet every 2 weeks to try to come up with ideas to support, Black founders and stuff like that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I hope that's actually helpful to folks. Let's see what else we got down here. Yeah, so what we appreciate everybody participating and coming on and asking questions. We're glad to have you all, and especially you being a trooper there, filling in for everybody. So filling in for Didi. Yeah, I really appreciate you doing that, so that I didn't have to come up here and ramble the whole while.
No, this has been very helpful.
Yeah,
I'm always very optimistic when I get out of this. I'm gonna do things. I'm gonna go out there,
Well, so like the post I put on Facebook today, people try to go out there and do this stuff by themselves with not being a community, and we're here to kind of support the founders and helping them move forward and helping them, get tied to the resources. And believe it or not, so and a lot of founders want to skip to the good stuff.
Yeah, I
And
see.
yeah, but the bottom line is that so so let's say you start pitching your idea really good, and then you start getting. So I actually have a founder. He sent me a text last week, and he was so excited because he pitched his idea, and he's got a funder, and so actually this happened to two of our Black founders got one actually got an intent for 500K on their raise, and then the other one was in talks, and the people that he was in talks with were giving up 500K for a healthy percentage of his business, but but the challenge is, so what is the best practices when you got people want to invest in your business?
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
what are you supposed to do? So in both cases, I would refer them to one option would be to go to gus.com, and they'll make sure you got all your legal paperwork right. Plus they'll
Right.
manage your cap table for you for $1,000.
$4,000. Okay.
So yeah, the cap table is how you manage all your investors.
Oh, the investors, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what
That is helpful. I mean, after getting all that money, you blow it thinking you're doing the right things, and yet,
Yes, but yeah, so that we're definitely excited to have you back, and in the fray, and we're glad to hear that you bounced back from losing a child, and trying to move forward there, and doing good, to kind of support people with similar situations. So we, yeah. So yeah, let's keep this ball rolling and keep
thank
helping
you.
people out. And Pat says thanks for taking the lead. All righty.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, and here's plenty of Facebook comments too. So I didn't put them all up there, but we thank all the folks out on Facebook there that were actually watching tonight. So next week, be sure you tune in, because we're going to definitely get I think that'll be some good guests, because it'll help level the playing field for being able to put in good applications, for these programs. All right, we'll see you all next week. Take care, and thanks a million. All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.